Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. Today, we're diving into a story that's been making waves in Hollywood, not for its glamour, not for its controversy, but for its honesty. Sydney Sweeney, one of the brightest stars of her generation, has finally spoken about the poor box office performance of her latest film, Christy. And what she said has struck a chord with everyone who believes that art is more than just numbers. Christy was supposed to be a turning point, a personal, emotionally charged project for Sydney. Unlike her big studio releases or romantic comedies, this film was smaller, quieter, and deeply human. It explored the kind of raw, internal storytelling that doesn't always guarantee commercial success, but it meant something to her. So when the box office numbers came in and critics called the film underwhelming, people wondered, how would Sydney react? And then came her words, calm, composed, and deeply powerful. In an interview earlier this week, Sydney said, "We don't always just make art for numbers." She went on to explain that filmmaking, for her, isn't about breaking records. It's about connection. It's about putting a piece of yourself into something that feels real, even if it doesn't earn millions. Her statement, simple yet profound, reminded the world that creativity still matters, even in an industry obsessed with profit and popularity. To understand why Sydney's words hit home, you have to look at where she's come from. At just 27, she's already starred in some of the biggest projects of the past few years: Euphoria, The White Lotus, Anyone But You, and Madam Web. She's faced both the praise and the scrutiny that come with being one of Hollywood's most watched young women. And yet, despite her success, she's stayed grounded, choosing roles that challenge her, that stretch her emotionally, even when they come with risks. When Christy underperformed, some critics were quick to dismiss it. But for Sydney, this was more than just another movie. It was a passion project. She wasn't just the star, she was also one of the producers, helping bring the story to life from behind the camera too. And that's what makes her statement even more meaningful. She could have blamed marketing, release timing, or audience trends, but instead, she stood by her work. She said, "We tell stories because they mean something to us, and hopefully, they mean something to someone else too." This kind of perspective is rare in Hollywood, especially for someone at the peak of fame. In an era where success is defined by box office numbers and streaming charts, Sydney's reminder feels like a breath of fresh air. Her words echo what many actors and filmmakers have quietly felt for years, that the value of a film shouldn't be measured by ticket sales alone. Because art isn't always meant to please everyone. Sometimes, it's meant to touch a few deeply. Of course, not everyone agreed. Some online users pointed out that Sydney, being a major star, can afford to take creative risks, that it's easier to say numbers don't matter when you already have fame and money. But others saw something different: humility. She didn't dismiss the film's outcome. She acknowledged it with grace. She accepted that not every project will hit big, and that's okay. It's that level of maturity that makes her stand out in an industry that often values perfection over authenticity. And there's a bigger story here, about how Sydney is slowly evolving from being just a rising star to becoming a storyteller. With Christy, she proved she's not afraid to step out of her comfort zone. She's exploring new creative paths, producing films that reflect her own artistic instincts rather than just studio expectations. And while Christy might not have been a box office sensation, it's clearly a stepping stone in her growth as a producer and visionary, What's even more beautiful is how her fans reacted. Social media was filled with messages of support. People praised her vulnerability, saying it was inspiring to see a Hollywood star speak so openly about failure and purpose. Her statement, "We don't always make art for numbers," started trending across platforms, not as a defense, but as a declaration of artistic integrity. It became a reminder that true creativity can't always be quantified. If you look closely, this is a moment of quiet rebellion from Sydney. She's setting her own standard for success, one based on meaning, not money. And maybe that's why audiences connect with her. Because she represents something rare in modern Hollywood: authenticity. A willingness to take risks, to fail, and to still stand tall. Her words are not just about one film. They're about every artist who's ever created something out of love and watched it go unnoticed. So, whether or not Christy becomes a sleeper hit someday, Sydney Sweeney's message has already left its mark. It's a reminder that real art lives beyond charts and collections. It lives in emotion, in honesty, in courage. Because when art comes from the heart, even failure becomes a form of beauty. And maybe that's the most inspiring thing about Sydney's journey. She's not chasing perfection. She's chasing truth. Thanks for watching. And if you believe that true art isn't about numbers, but about meaning, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories like this one. Clapperboard Red Heart, the internet, of course, had mixed reactions. Some people applauded her statement, saying that art should never be defined by financial success. Others argued that it's easy to say that when you're already established in Hollywood. But even her critics admitted one thing: Sydney Sweeney has been taking bold risks lately. From starring in edgy thrillers to producing her own films, she's carving out her own lane, separate from the typical Hollywood formula. Let's not forget that Christy wasn't a big-budget studio movie. It was a smaller, emotionally intense project that required subtlety and patience from its audience. In today's fast-paced entertainment culture, where everyone's chasing franchises and sequels, making a film like Christy takes courage. And Sydney's decision to defend it publicly shows how passionate she is about her craft.